Say subscribe.
Subscribe.
Thank you.
Hello, Susan. This is Marlon Brando calling. I just watched your program. That's funny. I am a very big fan of yours. Buddy Hackett.
Hello, Susan. I just wanted to call and say that you rock more than any rock star or movie star ever could.
It was spellbinding. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. And I think she should run for president. I know this is silly, but I would vote for you.
Too bad you're not in Washington.
Thank you for your programs. They are a riot.
And if I'd have known what you're showing on TV 25, 30 years ago, I would have had a sane and wonderful life.
Clients sometimes ask me, am I normal? We want to know. Sometimes our parents tell us, you're not normal, which can be disturbing. I'm not? Uh-oh. We hope to fit into the system. We associate being normal with getting loved, getting a career, getting respect. Not normal people get sued, abandoned, and end up alone, except for the cat. So normally we opt for normal, but what is normal? If you are insecure, neurotic, and your clothes vary 3 sizes, you're normal. If you feel bad but you try not to show any fear or anger, you're normal. If substance abuse has affected your life in some way, you're normal. If you work with a psychopath, if you are dissatisfied with a part of your body, if you eat or spend or worry or work too much, you're normal. And if you think that you're the only person who is as weird as you are, you're normal. If you live in the U.S., it's normal to suffer from low self-worth. What is low self-esteem? Does it affect our lives enough to try and get an upgrade? Well, typically, it impairs productivity. You stay home hiding instead of going out to play. You get married despite the revelation that it's a mistake because the invitations already went out. You avoid hard questions. You have a great book inside of you, but you keep it safe in there where no one can criticize it. You get beaten up by a family member, and you feel ashamed. Low self-worth can turn tragic. 80% of women who are murdered in the U.S. are killed by someone they've known and often have loved. A loved one becomes a deranged one, and at the funeral, the family, weeping, talks about how everything seemed normal. Marge, didn't Betty and Bert seem normal to you? Sure. Betty and Bert tried to seem as if they were something they weren't. It's normal to deny what's really going on and to present an image of, we're normal. And often, till the gun goes off, everyone buys the act. Yeah. While most of us do not come to our demise directly due to low self-worth, we feel its dismal effect. You watch other people make more money than you do while you make coffee. You talk about them with the other people in the office whose low self-worth prevents them from advancing. Y'all grumble about how the manager, well, he certainly has his favorites, doesn't he? Yeah, if you're not in the loop, you're just not. Nothing we can do about it except make more coffee. And badmouth that loser. Yep, normal office policy. Could we acknowledge our power and change undesirable circumstances? Yeah, but what happens if we don't like what happens? We might get in over our heads. You know, drowning in a pool of your own making is just too horrible. But if you're drowning in their pool, hey, it's their fault. Thank goodness there's always a them out there that can distract us from us. We may not trust us. What have we done for us lately? So we tell ourselves we're powerless. It's a crummy situation. I have no choice. Nothing I can do. As the Nazis said in 1939, any lie that you tell often enough and long enough will begin to feel like the truth. Yeah. We may not think that we got the right stuff. Look how we've screwed up in the past. So Feeling defeated, we try to rely on someone bigger, smarter, someone with more stuff, better stuff. We may regard our past attempts at managing life as failures rather than learning experiences. Instead of saying, wow, that certainly turned out differently than I had planned, we say, I should have known better than to try. I'm taking my marbles, I'm going home. We lose faith in us, and then we begin depending on them. We may look to experts, to authorities, the icons, the graduated, ordained ones, the ones who know. We seek validation, consolation, guidance, permission. Yes, other people possess information we can use, but, and like my old rear end, it's a really big but, we can end up betrayed, disappointed, and let down if we rely blindly on them, dismissing the little voice within that guides us. One of my clients became successful in the recording business. A sweet thing, didn't know nothing about those stocks or mutual funds, so she turned her finances over to someone who was last seen at LAX. Declare your mission statement and take charge of yourself. You know, no one is going to take care of you as well as you can. As much as they love you, they're just not as interested. It's a challenge to not mistake the illusion with reality. Judge information, question it. Does it make sense to you? Don't confuse the message with the messenger. Authority figures may offer their opinion. It may sound like fact, but facts are often fiction. Figures lie, liars figure. And sometimes fallen idols still dole out valuable information. You know, just because Martha Stewart's neighbor says that she tried to run him down with her car, just because Martha is an alleged maniac when she's not on TV, doesn't mean she can't tell you what to do with a doily. Cut her some slack. You know how annoying neighbors can be. People are wacky, forget about it. You should see me chase spiders. I'm a lunatic. So Martha Stewart has feet of clay. Big deal. If she's wise, she should fess up, get real, and turn them into a couple of lovely planters. Just because Kathy Lee and Frank didn't have a perfect marriage, and who does, doesn't mean that the relationship tapes that they were promoting didn't contain valuable information. Just because someone is knowledgeable in a few areas doesn't mean that they know what's right for you. They may seem intelligent, all-knowing, virtuous, but, you know, even a stopped clock is right twice a day. Experts, parents, authorities are often wrong. Want to hear something scary? We're all being controlled, and we may not even know it. The entity that shackles your mind decides for you what you will believe in, who you will marry, how much money you will ever have. This entity is more powerful than presidents, more mysterious than anything on the X-Files. It's a force that was established when we left the caves and formed villages. We, the village people, sacrificed our instinctive free nature and entered into a tacit agreement with our fellow villagers to conform, enabling us to maintain order. Even prior to the 10 Commandments, we had rules by which we were supposed to live. What with Madison Avenue, parents, school peers, fashion magazines, and Mattel telling us what to buy, say, and weigh, we're lucky to still have a shred of what we came into the world with. We came here knowing we were powerful, creative, lovable. Then the big ones discouraged us and depressed many of us, and now we must muster up the energy just to take care of ourselves and retain our dignity so that people don't screw with us too badly. I used to watch The Outer Limits as a kid. I didn't want to watch it, but I had no choice. They said at the beginning of each show that they had control over the TV set, and they would return control back to me when the show was over. I couldn't touch the knob. Remember knobs? There was no remote control or a remote chance that I would risk my life and touch that knob. You know what? They didn't really have control. I just thought that they did. Duh. Suckered in again. Growing up on sitcoms, some of us got the message life situations should be resolved in half an hour. We developed half-hour attention spans. But in real life, If it was bad at the beginning of the hour, it often got a lot worse in half an hour. Real life did not dissolve from scene to scene, skipping past the uncomfortable or boring or painful details. Samantha and Jeannie didn't take out the garbage. They didn't sit bumper to bumper. Had a driver flipped them off, he'd have been turned into a frog. That's justice. I wanted to, and have it all solved. Many of us long for the illusion of fairness, happy endings, the way things ought to be, sure. If we'd all been raised in Mayberry, it would be a happier planet. Look how well Opie's done. There were no crackheads in Mayberry, maybe over in Raleigh, but in Mayberry, Otis was the only drunk. No one carried guns except Barney, and he kept his bullet in his pocket. Aunt Bee didn't abuse Opie. Andy didn't cheat on or beat on Helen. Helen never had PMS. Goober didn't come from a dysfunctional home. Howard Sprague didn't con seniors with bogus scams, and Floyd didn't lure little boys into the back of the barber shop. Nobody asked Gomer. Gomer didn't tell. Many of us love to escape into the illusion, the safety of television. It's the perfect drug. It's legal. You only have to go to the dealer once, and you can do it all night without destroying your nose. It's true, though, if the cable goes out, you may experience withdrawal and yell at cable repair when they tell you that the guy will be out next Tuesday from 9 to 5. But at least you're not out in the streets in the middle of the night looking for the TV dealer. Life is so technical lately. You ever long for a simpler time when rules were more defined, more normal? Men worked, women cleaned, kids could talk to strangers. I was intrigued with the public response to the trial of the nanny convicted of killing the baby. People were calling talk shows enraged, blaming the death on the mother who was working, not the father, because he's supposed to be absent. Mom should have been at home, like in the old days. But is that real or illusion? Harriet Nelson, June Cleaver, Loretta Young were working mothers. We watched them work. That's why they looked so good, heels clicking around the kitchen. They were at work. You think Harriet wore that much makeup at home, cleaning after David or dragging Ricky into rehab? Half the cast of Father Knows Best was on Geraldo exposing incidents of sexual abuse and alcoholism. And as kids, many of us looked to TV families, these same TV families, thinking that's how it should be. You know what? It wasn't like that for them either. But if no one in your family has been attacked, imprisoned, hospitalized, addicted, or inappropriate, then that's not normal. Some of us feel close to our families. Some of us feel like changing our names and entering the witness protection program. Sometimes the only thing we have in common with people is DNA. Yet, we feel we should get along with them. Why? Well, most of us long to be connected to family, connected and accepted. Growing up on Father Knows Best, Dick Van Dyke, Flipper, we, the Brady Bunch, may have struggled with the diametrically opposed images of TV family life, like the Nelson family, and our own real life, like the Manson family. Many of us grew up with a distorted impression that only our families were strange, secretive, warped. Let me tell you something. After counseling clients and running support groups for years, when it comes to family, warped is normal. We learned how to judge from television. In the 60s, even if you had color TV, the picture you got was black and white. You were a saint or a villain. You were the good girl or the slut. If you were the slut in a horror flick, you had to die. Good people did not do bad things. If you had sex, you were bad. Rob and Laura Petrie were good. They had separate beds. That's why Richie was an only child. Jeannie and the astronaut were really good because they lived together and didn't have sex, which was remarkable considering the way she was dressed. TV in the 60s and 70s did not reflect what was really going on in our homes. And those of us who looked to TV for role models ended up feeling adopted or ripped off. The Bradys looked like real people. Then again, they weren't like anyone I knew. Who would I speak to about these things? My mother? Well, in times of confusion, my mother would be cleaning. I'd come to her upset. Maybe they suddenly switched Darrens. Or I had a fight with my best friend, and my mother would say, "Don't be crazy, it's not normal. I have to clean the kitchen now." Although my parents lost many loved ones in the war, my first encounter with grief was when they switched Darrens on Bewitched. They replaced Dick York with Dick Sargent. I missed the old Dick. There isn't really the right way. There are ways that work better than other ways. There are ways that take longer. There are ways that bring about pain or pleasure, and then we choose which way we'll take. But here's another really big but. Do we choose? If society didn't tell you to act your age, how old would you feel? If the church, the family, and TV didn't tell you who to have relationships with, who would you be having sex with, you scoundrel? Why do you wear what you wear and say what you say? Ever get bored at social functions? Sure. So just see that game? Think it'll rain? Clients tell me that they wish they could reveal to other people what they reveal to me. They'd like to see someone across a crowded room go up to them and say, "I was about to hit my kid the other day when I saw the terror on their face and I realized how big and scary I looked to them. My kid's 3, he's short." So I took a deep breath and I thought about why I was angry. He had scared me and I was irritated. He had done something that I told him not to do. I told him this over and over again and I got ticked off because I was not able to control him. I hate being ignored. My parents ignored me and I never talked to them. So when my son seemed to just ignore my wishes, I was about to respond the way my parents used to, with anger. But I didn't want my kid to end up feeling toward me the way I feel toward my parents. So we ended up speaking instead. I used discussion rather than percussion, and we both ended up feeling a whole lot better. Or, my boss is a tyrant who depresses the whole department. I want to start sending out my resume, but I typed it 14 times, I still haven't sent it out. What if I get a new job and it's just as bad there? I'll have to prove myself all over again. I have to meet new people. God knows what hellish nightmares they'll turn out to be. It might start out all happy, but soon comes the being looked over for the promotion and the backstabbing and the bad parking space. What if I just stay where I am and keep complaining? There's a plan. What do you think? Or, "I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. I was thinking about what I was going to say next while we were being introduced. I'd like to be listening to what you're saying, but your large breasts looming out of your dress like that have given me the impression that you're a slut and that all the men in the room, including my husband, want to be having sex with you. Did you look in the mirror before leaving the house? Look, I'm sure you're a good person, but I was brought up that way. This is only my initial impression. Would you care to repeat your name, as I am trying to be a less critical person?" Well, you can see why normally we choose to wear a social mask. It prevents slapping. Let's look at the origin of the mask. How did it become normal to hide your real feelings? Well, let's rewind back to the caves. The cave woman says to her husband, "Go out, kill something for dinner. I'm in the mood for wildebeest." He says, "But we had wildebeest last night." The truth is, in the old days, your dinner didn't give you the runs like with salmonella. It made you run, like back to the cave, because it was chasing you. So, Mrs. Neanderthal, a cousin to the Rosenthals, who have a bigger cave up the block, says to her mate, "What, are you afraid?" Hell yes. Anyone facing death would be. It would be pretty stupid to put your life in danger and not be nervous. Anyone with feelings experiences occasional fear. So the husband says, "I don't want to hunt today, I'm afraid." And the wife says, "Look, pasta hasn't been invented yet. What do you want me to do? Turn off your fear and go kill me a nice piece of meat." He says, "But if I turn off my fear, won't I have to turn off the other emotions, the ones you like?" And she says, "What are you worried about that now? We'll deal with it later. Here's the stone that you made that looks like a knife. Go." Now, he realizes that if he wants to procreate in the near future, he must leave the cave. He comes back triumphant. The wife, upon seeing him, says, "Wipe your feet, I just cleaned." And then she says, "Look, I had Art come over and paint a stick motif on the wall. Gives the cave character, don't you think?" He grunts, tosses the carcass on the kitchen slab, scratches and flops back on the couch, and she says, "Why can't you be more enthusiastic?" Is he supposed to be in touch with his feelings or not? You want a brave man, you want a caveman, or you want someone who'll stay home and decorate? In which case, who'll feed the cave kids? Can we have our Brontosaurus burger and eat it too? Sure, but sometimes we fear that if we start to explore our feelings, we may discover something we don't want to know. Will I be forced to change jobs, spouses? Then what? Leave? And go where? Who's hiring? Who's going to date someone with a growing waistline and shrinking hair? Better just crack open a beer, rip open a bag of chips, and tune into the Discovery Channel to check out what the other animals are doing to survive. Do you know how much energy it takes to deny your true feelings? You can end up so exhausted you barely make it from the TV to the fridge. We're here and we got feelings. We might as well try to make it safe for our partners and our families to express their feelings to us. We do this by acting like we're understanding and accepting. We say things like, "Really? Oh yeah? Then what? Tell me more." And we refrain from telling them what they did wrong. If they ask for advice, then you might cast a few pearls of wisdom, but most of us just want to be heard and understood and not criticized. If we feel safe in being authentic and real at home, then we'll be more confident out in the jungle among the predators. But beware of the predator within, which hunts down any thoughts of happiness and kills them dead. You want to write, to perform, to dance, to paint, or to speak up at a meeting, or you want to ask someone out on a date, but something's stopping you. What could it be? Have you ever heard of the 3 Ps? The first is perfection. Gotta do it right, which is followed by procrastination. I'll wait till I'm in the proper creative mood. And finally, there's paralyzation. Help me. I decided to write my book, the book that everybody has been encouraging me to write. So, sat down at the computer when I suddenly remembered that the middle bedroom closet needed a hook. My mother was going to come visit in 2 months, and she'd have to hang her bathrobe up. So I went and installed the hook, and then I sat down to write, and I realized that I was a little hungry. You know, all the manual labor tuckered me out. We didn't have any fruit in the house, so I drove to the market, and since I was passing the sports club, I had to pop in for a spin class, so now it's 8 o'clock. Dinner. It's called avoidance. What if I risk only to fail? Look, you're either concerned with it, creating it, shaping it, giving it life, or you're worried about how you're going to look. When you believe in it and its importance, then you become less concerned with you, and it finally gets done. It is the thing not normally mentioned in general conversation. It's what makes you special. There are way too many normal people who died at 20 and just aren't buried for another 60 years. You may have to fight your fears and society's standards so that your spirit may live. Often we stop ourselves from pursuing dreams because we're afraid that we won't like the way we'll feel if it doesn't turn out the way we planned. Well, try as we might, we'll probably never fail as big as some of the most successful failures in the world. You ever been to Euro Disney? No, neither has anyone. Remember Heaven's Gate, the movie and the cult? How about Cutthroat Island, Ishtar, the Sinking Tower of Pisa, the Just Say No campaign, and the LA Metro Rail? The point is to create. Go ahead, try, show up, play. You can fail to bring a task to its desired outcome without being a failure. Failure is an illusion brought to you by the people with limited vision. You know what normal people do? They think about their past or their future. They think about what they can't change, rather than think about what is happening right now. Hello, it's about now. Take care of the moments, the years will take care of themselves. This is your life. Plant your feet, take a deep breath, take charge. I read a sci-fi book. This guy wakes up in a hospital. He has amnesia. He has no idea who he is. He leaves the hospital and the weirdest stuff keeps happening. Like he'll be thinking about something and boom, there it is. He soon discovers that he has the power to create what he thinks about. He learns that he's a magical prince who is unaware of the great power that he possessed. Eventually, he wakes up out of his amnesia. Will you? Need a wake-up call? Surf for me. I'm on the web. Or call the info line. The shows usually air Monday nights. I'm Suzan Stadner. Good health. Good luck. For information, call 310-451-WIRE. That's 310-451-9473. Are you calling? Or visit the website designed by my pals at Rival Internet Services. Browse for me. I'm at SuzanSays.com. That's SUZANSAYS.com. All lowercase. Spell Susan with a Z. And thanks to the crew at Media One in Westchester. Thank you, Denise Heller at Textures Hair Salon in Brentwood Gardens for taking such good care of my hair. And thank you, Erica Janes, for those amazing facials. Who knew controlling acne could feel that good? And thanks, Arthur on Montana, for my gems. Eric for my music, and thank you for watching. Have you dialed the number yet? I'm here to serve. Go to the phone.
I was absolutely captivated. I couldn't move. I was frozen with a clicker in my hand for a half an hour straight.
I sat here sort of mesmerized watching you go from humor to really deep insight.
I thought you were absolutely so real and so genuine and such a great sense of humor.
And I came across your show, and I just fell off the couch.
Your show has really inspired my friend and I. We really appreciate that we get a chance to watch you on TV.
Susan, this is Jerry Rubin. I saw you on TV last night. You're pretty poetic. Blew me away with your whole decade of psychology in 120 minutes.
Hello, Susan. This is Marlon Brando calling. I just watched your program. That's funny. I am a very big fan of yours. But in fact,
Hello, Susan. I just wanted to call and say that you rock more than any rock star or movie star ever could.
It was spellbinding. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. And I think she should run for president. I know this is silly, but I would vote for you.
too bad you're not in Washington.
Thank you for your programs. They are a riot.
And if I'd have known what you're showing on TV 25, 30 years ago, I would have had a sane and wonderful life.